Hey guys, this is my step-by-step tutorial on making glitter pins using UV resin. Here's a list of everything you're going to need. There are a few things missing, but I do go over it in the video of what you're going to need. So you'll want to get some gloves. I get mine from Harbor Freight. And Mod Podge, this is the one I use. You can use whatever you have on hand. Spray paint, I prefer the one with primer. This is the UV resin, which I have linked below. And these are the pins you're going to need, the Paper Mate Ink Joy gel pins. And then something to hold them. I use reusable straws because I have a ton of them on hand. This is the Dremel I use. You can use sandpaper if you prefer or don't have a Dremel on hand. Okay, so these are the pins. I get mine from Walmart and Amazon. If you prefer to shop on Amazon, I do have them linked below. We're going to start by opening them up. I do have a container that I keep all of my pin guts in. You can use whatever works best for you, but you'll want to have something to keep them so you don't lose them. So you'll start off by taking that top piece off, and once you do that, the rest of the insides will come out. So now we need to take that clip off. I just use my hands. You can use needle nose pliers if it's easier for you, but I just twist them and they come right off. So after we've done that, we do need to get that little nubby piece off. I use the Dremel for this. If you prefer to use sandpaper or a sanding block, go ahead. So as you can see, I'm just lightly taking that piece off, and there's a little nub right there I get to. And then I go on to the back side and I just Dremel that piece off as well. So I do show that you can use a sanding block. It's just not my preferred method, but as you can see here, you'll just sand that piece off. After you've done that, I did forget to show that you will want to wipe your pen down with rubbing alcohol. That just gets all that debris off. You'll want to spray paint it. This is the one I use. I am doing a pink pen, so I'll have to have a white background to use that fluorescent spray paint, which you can see right here. That'll be my next step. Paint that, and you've let it dry. It's time to glitter it. Okay, so this is where you're going to use your Mod Podge to apply your glitter. I use a paintbrush to do mine. And you're going to need your pen, of course, and whatever glitter you choose. This is the glitter I chose for this pen. It is a custom mix. So you'll want to open your Mod Podge, and I put a decent amount on just to work with instead of having to constantly go back each time I need more. So I put it on here, and then I'm just going and making sure that each of my ends gets well coated. That way you don't get any bare spots. When you're doing this end, it's okay if you get some inside the pen. You can get it out later, so that's not a big deal. Don't stress over that. So now you're going to want to make sure that you smooth it out. You don't have any lines or clumps of Mod Podge that your glitter can stick to in little clumps. So once you finish that, you can see I go over it a couple times just to make sure. Like, those lines are fine, but you don't want anything big. So now you're going to apply your glitter. I make sure that there's no dog hair on my paper because I have dogs and it's bound to happen. So I just shake some on. I don't worry about getting every single spot. And then I tip my pen upside down to make sure I get that tip really good. And then I roll it around, and that makes sure that everything is evenly coated and there's no empty bare spots. Once you've done this, I just make sure that I didn't miss anything. And then I give it a little tap just to get that excess glitter off. and then I set it aside for about 15 minutes or so, just depending on what I got going on, and let it dry. And then you'll put your glitter back in your container because you can reuse it. Once you've let the Mod Podge dry, I personally like to go in and spray mine with a clear coat. It just helps set the glitter so I don't have a bunch of glitter when I'm trying to apply the UV resin. You don't have to do this step, it's just my preferred step. After your clear coat has dried, you will see that when I touch the pin, I don't have any extra glitter coming off. So now I will apply my UV resin, and I just put a line on there, and then I evenly coat the pin. If you need more, you can always add more. And then you'll just want to make sure that you get a even application. See, I had a little dry spot, so I added a little extra. And then just rub your finger across to make sure that you're not leaving any big clumps. Make sure to get the tip. And once I make sure it's evenly coated, I just hit it with my light. That way when I put it on my holder, the UV resin doesn't drip and cause big butts or weird little spots. So I'll just take my light and do a quick little pass over. That way it kind of sets it, and then I go put mine in the sun. Once that's dried, you will do your second coat. It's the same process as the first time, just making sure you have an even application. If you do prefer to do this inside, I know some people use the bigger light kits. You're more than welcome to do that. I just get a migraine if I do my UV resin inside, so I just do it outside. So after you make sure it's smooth, I'll hit it with a light again, just like I did the first time, and you'll do this process until your pin is smooth. So after that has dried, now you can sand it once it's smooth, just to take off any little tiny rough spots you have. Just make sure you don't have any exposed glitter. This application does take longer if you do a chunky glitter because you want to make sure that that glitter is well coated. So as you can see, I'm just using my sanding block, and I'm just lightly going in and making sure that there's no rough spots. So once you've finished sanding, you'll want to take your 91% rubbing alcohol and wipe that down to make sure that it's nice and clean and you don't have any debris left over. Now that we've completed that, we're going to take our pin off, and we want to clean our ends off. Sorry, there's something on my finger. So now I use my little knife from Cricut. You can use whatever X-Acto knife you have on hand. And I just go in and I take that out. That's that extra Mod Podge I told you not to worry about. So you just want to make sure that that's nice and clean. There will be some spray paint in there. It's not a big deal. You can't get every single piece, but you'll want to make sure all those big clumps are taken out. And then you'll want to do the same on this end. Be super careful. The knives are sharp. Don't cut yourself. Just take your time. And you can see I just go through and take that little extra layer of Mod Podge and glitter off. Once you've done that, I just take my extra little straw cleaner and I just go through the pin just to get that extra little debris out. See, there's a little extra guy, so I just put that guy back in there and make sure it's nice and clean. Alright, so now that we have cleaned that up, we are going to make a vinyl decal for our pin. So now you're going to want to open up your Cricut design space, click on New Project. I go and add a text, which you'll see right here. I like to move mine to the middle So you'll go ahead and write your text. I'm just going to do my name. Then I'm going to change it to a black vinyl. You can change any color you want. After that, I'm going to change my font. I do like the Four Seasons font. So I click on that guy, and that will change. So for this, you're going to want to make sure that your height is about 1/2 inch. It depends on your design. You can do a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. Just measure your pin. You want to make sure it's no longer than 4.4 inches. Just make sure it all fits. So I did about 1/2 inch for mine. Once this is done, you'll go to click Make It. I make sure that it's on my sheet where I need it to be. Connect your Cricut Maker. And then you'll select whatever material. I use the premium vinyl button. Once it's cut, you'll want to weed your vinyl. I like these little tools. It's just easier for me to do the little intricate stuff. So you'll just take off that extra vinyl, weed out your little spots. Once that is done, you'll take your transfer tape. I just use the Cricut. It's what I have. It's just easy for me when I'm using projects like this. And I just apply it. Once you do that, you can apply it to your pin. You'll want to measure it. I didn't, since this isn't an order, it's just for a tutorial. So I just kind of eyeballed it. So you'll want to try to line it up or measure it and take a note of it. So you'll apply your decal. I just put mine on there. And this font is a little bit bigger, so I probably should have gone a little bit smaller, but like I said, it's just for the tutorial, so it'll work. So you'll want to make sure it's nice and secure on there. Remove your transfer tape, and then once that's all done, you're ready for your final step. So now you're going to apply your second to final coat of UV resin. So as you'll see, I do the same steps as I did earlier, making sure that it has a smooth application, it's nice and even, and I'll hit it with the light. I'll put that in the sun and let it dry, and then I usually do one more coat just to make sure that it is nice and smooth. There's no vinyl showing, you can't feel it, and then you will be all set for the final step. So you've let that dry, it's time to assemble your pin. So I just make sure that there's no extra stuff I need to get off the ends. As you can see here, there's a few spots. So I'm just taking care of those. And then you'll grab your little tray or whatever you decide to put your guts in. And you'll want to make sure you grab each one of those guys. Put that in, and then you'll put your ink in, and then your tip on. So once you have done that, you will want to make sure that you click it a few times and make sure that it's working properly. And after that, you're all done. Thanks for watching my tutorial. If you have any questions, please comment them down below. I'll be happy to answer anything. You can also reach out to us on TikTok, The Black Dog Co. We answer messages on there. I've also linked to everything that I use down below if you prefer to shop on Amazon. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.